Why are you here? You're here to outwork. You're here to outtrain. You're here to win.
Hey, what's up, you wrestling fanatics? Today you're listening to the True Wrestling Podcast, episode 13. You'll be hearing Jamie, my dad, and Dave talk about the upcoming Penn State versus Lehigh match. This is a real PA event.
Hey everybody, here we are with Diamond Dave Sabathia and fat and bald animal Jamie, just about to talk about one of the biggest events in Pennsylvania wrestling, which is Lehigh versus Penn State. This will be the 107th meeting of these two schools. Last year, Lehigh had Penn State on the ropes, and Penn State was able to pull it out at heavyweight. In the series, Penn State is up 69-34 with 3 ties. This is one of my oldest memories of college wrestling. I went to the match in Lehigh when I was in high school. I think it was 1982. And I've been hooked ever since. How you doing, guys? Jamie, how you feeling?
Good. I wish we were going to be mat side like last year.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Dave,
That was,
go ahead.
couldn't get a better view.
That's right. That was before Fox Sports kicked True Wrestling out of the Big Ten, and Jamie and I were mat side. It was good times.
Well,
At the
I have
Allentown
to agree.
facility,
I
whatever
have
that's
to agree
called.
with Fox for booting you. It was probably a good idea.
You know, Dave, next time I see you at the Princeton match, you're going down.
Hey, before we jump into that match, do you guys were you aware of the fact that Anthony Robles set the pull-up record at halftime of the Bills-Jets game a couple of weeks ago?
I did hear that.
Yeah,
And it
he
sounds like it was
he
verified.
he ripped off 62 in a minute. And Jamie, you're right. They're still in the process of trying to verify that, but assuming that it's legit, pretty amazing. One of my favorite 25-pounders ever.
Totally. One of the strongest grips I've ever shaken in college wrestling. Right.
Amazing guy.
Yeah.
And I think Penn State would love to have him at 25 because that's probably the only hole they have in their lineup.
I think you're right. That is a black hole they got right now. And talking to Coach Sanderson, he said that Teskey is coming back from a knee infection, and we may see him sooner than later. I've only seen Schnupp a couple times. Jamie and I saw him at the Classic this year. And last year when I watched him, I thought he was maybe a little better than he is this year. So I'm wondering if they're changing his style or if he's changing his style or something has changed mentally for him.
I think he's a little bigger, which helps.
Yeah. Well, how about we jump into 125? So we think it's going to be, Schnupp versus Farrow. And, Farrow comes in place of Connor Schramm, which I think is out for the season for Lehigh. Farrow dropped down from 133. He's ranked somewhere in the upper 20s. Strong kid. Good inside step shots. After what I saw at the Keystone Open, I got to think this is Lehigh's best chance here, especially to open up the match strong. They're going to probably start at 25. Neither team usually flips a coin. And I could see Farrow getting in on Schnupp's legs and getting a pretty solid regular decision.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you just said, Mike, with the exception that what I'm hearing is Farrow won the spot legitimately.
Okay.
Regardless of any injuries. He's a big 25-pounder. Actually wrestled 32 at Del Barton. And he's sucking a lot of weight. And he's very strong. I actually don't see Schnupp going 7 minutes. I think this is going to be 6 for Lehigh.
Jamie, what do you think?
I mean, if Faro is really that big, and he's beaten Schramm, who's the former All-American, then yeah, I would say that Lehigh does, or that Penn State doesn't have a chance here. Faro lost, or Schnupp lost matches to Classic that top-level D1 kids aren't going to lose.
Totally. My only question is, does Farrow have the pinning combinations to put him away? Again, this is last year. Schnupp was pretty adept at avoiding the fall. He got teched a bunch of times that I saw, but he had a lot of fight in him. That'll be interesting. I did not hear that Farrow beat Schramm, and that's saying something. So that would mean Farrow is going to be climbing up that ladder, most likely, of the rankings as the season goes on.
Yeah, the only issue I see with Farrow is him holding that weight all year. That's a big cut. He looks to be in pretty good shape, and he lost on penalty points against Michigan, against Matten.
Yeah.
Actually, should have won that. Should have won that bout. He was going into the third period, and he was up. He had riding time. I think he got screwed. A couple questionable stalling calls. One was fine, but the other one with about 20 seconds left decided the match. But anyway, I liked what I saw, and I think he wins this one easily.
It could be an issue if he wrestles Friday. They have a Friday match. We'll see if they have him making weight Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, he could have a hard weekend.
That's a really good point.
Because he's got Glory Friday night if he's wrestling. And then...
Maybe they...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like you said, if Schramm really isn't hurt, maybe they roll him out Friday against Glory, put the experienced guy out there, and let Faro wrestle Sunday and not have to make weight twice.
No, Schramm is hurt. I mean, that's
Okay.
a definite. I was just saying that prior to his injury, what I'm hearing, and take it with a grain of salt, it's all second hand, third hand, fourth hand, but I'm hearing that he was beating everybody. So he won the spot legitimately. But, and not to talk about Friday night, but that's another good duel. And he's wrestling Pat Glory. Interesting match because they both went to Del Barton.
Totally. Teammates.
Farrow's a couple of years older, but I'm sure they rolled around a lot and know each other well.
Well, I would say Farrow is a bright spot in the Lehigh injury-ravaged lineup right now.
Yeah, definitely. No question about that.
How about going up to 33? We got, Roman Bravo Young from Penn State, who looked just fantastic at the Keystone Classic against not a ton of top competition. Maybe Olsen from Drexel was maybe teens to 20. And you tell me, since you're connected there, is it going to be Paetzel or is it going to be Parker?
Well, I'm hearing Parker's going to wrestle against Princeton. But that again, that's just a rumor. And Mike, I'm no more connected than you are. Lehigh shares information about as readily as Penn State does, which isn't a lot. But I am hearing from I'll call it an inside connected Lehigh source that Parker's a definite maybe for the weekend.
Well, that would be interesting. So last year, right, he had a pretty good match, and he got a win. He got the second win for Lehigh when he knocked off Jared Cortez. With what did he tech him? I'm trying to remember. Did he pin him? No, it was no. It was Gianelli, right? He beat Gianelli, Dom Gianelli, last year.
Yep, he pinned him.
Pinned him at 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yep.
That'd be huge. Look, Parker's a stud, All-American, and that would be a test for Roman Bravo Young.
Well, I want to hear from Jamie on RBY.
He's tough. He's looked real good all year. I really would love to see him against Parker because if he doesn't wrestle Parker, who knows what he sees at the scuffle? He might not see any ranked wrestlers till January with the way the schedule rolls out.
Well, I know Kale's really high on him, and he's not big on praising freshmen, but he seems like he's a real deal. He's so good that he has three names.
That's right. He's gonna have initials. There were a couple things I think that stood out to me at the Classic. One was his aggressiveness, his mindset, and his push as a true freshman. And then Jamie and I both were, watching him. He would just sit in the corner when the Penn State guys didn't have a coach there because they had so many kids wrestling, and he was coaching. He's a true freshman, mentally mature beyond his age.
Yeah, no, I saw a video of him. He's quick.
And then it was Nickel and was it Vincenzo when they picked up the team title? They brought him up there with them, and he was holding the title in the middle.
That's right.
Holding the trophy.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, having said all of that, Brandon Paetzel is pretty good. I liked what I saw against Misic from Michigan. He lost that, but he actually took Misic down, which is saying something. And I think the final was like 7-3, 7-4, and he was in it until the end. So I think Roman Bravo Young clearly is favored against Paetzel, but that could be a decent match.
I agree with you. Paetzel, I think, brings an element of strength for some of his counters. I think RBY might be a little quicker. Paetzel's got some heavy hips, and he knows how to get his hips low and keep his chest tall on a number of counters. He's got some skills. I think he's probably ranked around 15, and I don't know if RBY is actually ranked right now because he is a true freshman, but both matches would be interesting. If Parker is 100%, you got to think he's got an edge there as a returning All-American. But on the other hand, if he's coming back and he's 80%, it might be a dogfight. Either way, I'm looking forward to both matches because I think both guys are entertaining.
No question. Definitely.
Anything else on that, Jamie?
Jamie, are you going to that match?
No. I wish it was.
All right, so moving up to 41, we got Ryan Pomrinka versus Nick Lee. In my perspective here, Nick Lee, so he didn't look super sharp at the Classic, but he sure makes up for it in aggression. Pomrinka's specialty seems to be keeping a match close, but his strategy lets him lose, I think, close matches late. I don't know if he's got an offensive confidence issue. In the past, he's beaten Randy Cruz, an All-American in wrestle-offs, at least 1 out of 3 times. He's a tough kid. I'm not sure when he's going to get confident.
I would agree with everything you just said. It's unusual that I'm agreeing with you so much, but Pomrinka's pretty strong. He's probably lacking a little bit of confidence in his offense. Needs to let it rip. The thing about Nick Lee, he's not going to let him rest. He'll be shooting in the first 2 seconds. Jumping all the way to the end. I got Penn State big. Probably 8-2, maybe 7-3 best case for Lehigh. And this is definitely a match where Penn State's heavily favored.
For sure. Lee's just looking for bonus.
Yeah, I think that if Pomrinka keeps him at bay for the first period, I'm not sure that he doesn't get pulled into deep cardio waters by the second period and just get worn down by the relentless tide of Nick Lee's attacks. Like, watching him, he's not even in control half the time. He's just going forward, and guys don't know how to deal with that in the second and the third period if they've never seen something like that. And most guys, you can't prepare for that in most D1 rooms.
Well, you're right. He actually should have stayed home in Indiana. He has no business being wrestling in front of all these Pennsylvania fans.
Well, that's an interesting thing. There's more Pennsylvania homegrown talent wrestling for Iowa, or there was before Kemmerer
You're right.
got hurt than Penn State has this year. So
Hey, Tom Brands is no dummy.
that's right. Well, he's trying to save his job. I'm kidding,
of
Tom.
course.
I'm kidding, Tom. I know you listen.
Well, he's a friend of mine, so watch it.
Hey, I've told this story before. The best compliment I ever got was Tom Brands coming up and talking wrestling to me and telling me after a match that he's been trying to get one of his assistants to edit film down to as short and concise as True Wrestling did it. And he pulled over one of his assistants after a match last year and was like, "This is the guy. You got to call him up and see how he does it." It was really funny. Oh man, it was embarrassing. I never saw Tom Brands give me a compliment before. It was awesome.
He's actually a great guy, and he's probably the best interview in wrestling.
He won't do a Skype interview. All right.
Oh, well.
Jamie, anything else you want to say about Nick Lee?
No, he's on a mission. He wants to get better than fifth from last year, and he's looking to run over this one.
Yeah, the other thing is, started as a true freshman like RBY did. So this is his sophomore year, and we'll see what kind of leaps he makes there. Moving up to 49, this has been a little bit of a injury spot for Lehigh as well. And for Penn State, it looks like they've, I don't want to say this, the position's probably not settled. Berge, took the match with Verclearen at the Classic by a couple points, and I'm sure they'll see each other at the Scuffle again. I'm not sure who Lehigh's going to put out there. Karam's at 41. What am I talking about? Hoffman might be in.
Actually, no. Karam is he's moving up.
He is moving up.
He's Lehigh's 49-pounder, but he was not included in match notes for the weekend. So
okay,
looks like he's not ready, and it will be Jimmy Hoffman.
So Jimmy Hoffman out of Hazleton, didn't see him wrestle at the Brown and White. Was he a state champ or state runner-up, Dave? Jamie, you guys know?
He was a runner-up.
I think runner-up, maybe twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Jamie.
So, that'll be interesting in as much as Berge is, right, redshirt freshman here, assuming we're going to see him and not Verclearen. Who knows what they'll do with Bucknell on Friday night, if they'll give them each a match or not. But I would imagine they would want to get Berge as many matches as possible to see if he can hold the weight, because that's going to be an issue for him, it seems like, all season. That's what everybody is saying. When I talked to him in the sidelines at the Classic, he didn't make it seem like it was that big of a deal. He just maybe got a late start. Jamie?
Well, I was just going to say Verclearen's my favorite wrestler, and the only reason being he has less hair than any of us. Poor kid, but he's a talent, and you're right. It's a coin flip between he and Berge.
Yeah, I would expect them to split matches during the weekend. Who knows who goes where, but I would think they don't have red shirts to worry about, so I expect them to split these guys quite a bit until it's something decisive. Yeah.
The interesting thing that I thought that Berge has is I didn't think his setups were as good as I thought they might be, especially in the Verclearen match, which is the one I was on. I'm sure they wrestled each other a ton in the room. So Verclearen probably had a little bit of a tell and had a block that was scheduled, that was working for him. On the other hand, I haven't seen Hoffman in college. I talked to him last year, but I have not seen him wrestle. So we'll see. It's kind of an unknown, but you got to figure Berge's or Verclearen's got a pretty good edge on Hoffman right now.
Actually, Hoffman looked pretty good against Michigan. He's added some size, and he gave a mean fifth-year senior from Michigan. He gave him a pretty good bout. So,
what was the score on that?
Sorry?
What was the score?
Actually, Hoffman won on a injury default.
That's what I thought.
He bounced the mean off his head. It was, as a Lehigh fan, I loved it, but obviously you hope that Amin's okay. But at the time, Hoffman was, I think, winning by 1 or 2 points.
Okay. Well,
so I don't have him winning this bout, against either Penn State wrestlers, but I think it's going to be a regular decision.
Well, if he gave a mean that kind of tussle, I hope it's a dogfight out there because I love seeing those kind of competitive matches, especially with young wrestlers who are not afraid to leave it out there.
He's got a good pedigree. He's from Hazleton. He's tough. I think as he grows into that weight, he's going to do just fine.
All right, going up to 57, we got Jason Nolf, the national treasure. I used to call him Shark Attack, but I just think he's a national treasure. Guy wins a national championship on one leg, and completely changed his style to all fundamentals. And
well, he doesn't need any legs.
He does not
against Lehigh Kent Lane. But no offense, but
so we're sure Wolf is not going to be down there at this point.
No, I'm not sure of that, but it's unlikely. I don't think Wolf's going to be able to get down just because of certification rules. I don't think he's going to be allowed until second semester.
I'm not sure if I'd be in a rush after, he got teched. He's been teched by Nolf a couple times.
I don't think anybody's in a rush to wrestle Nolf.
It's
very true.
As far as Kent Lane goes, he's crafty. He's got no initiation of offense, but he has some counters. And I wonder, in my mind as I'm watching Nolf's relentless attacks, I wonder if Lane will be able to get any points on him because Nolf is known to give up points sometimes. Hey, 2 points, he'll trade a takedown for 10 takedowns sometimes. And I'm just wondering,
how much money do you have? How much money do you
have? More than you.
I'll give you the over under on this is I'm going to say a minute and 20 seconds. I don't see it lasting more than that.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over.
You'll take. All right, you're on.
Yeah, you said 20 seconds, right, Dave?
I said a minute and 20.
20 seconds, done. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Jamie, any other thoughts on Lane and Nolf?
I don't think Lane's going to last the first period. I don't know about the 120 part because Nolf will play with people like that Shark. He likes to play with his dinner before he finishes it off. So I wouldn't be surprised if he lets him hang around for a little while, get some mat time before he decides to finish it.
Yeah, deep waters. That guy takes you into the deep waters again with that cardio. Just a stud.
I've never seen anybody like Nolf, actually, in that I can remember. He looks like a fish. He looks like a shark, I know, but he has no muscle definition.
Yeah. The thing that I find remarkable about him is how powerful his hips are. And if you take a look at those hips, it looks like they belong on a 74-pounder. They're just strong hips. And that's where he gets all his drive from. Tremendous hip strength. It's like Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel. Doesn't have a ton of upper body definition, but he's so explosive with the hips. And
he really is.
And to me, hey, I'm imploring anybody who's a wrestling fan, who knows somebody who's a borderline fan. This is Nolf's senior year. Get them to watch a match because once these guys get to the next level, it's few and far between. And like I said, he is a national treasure, and you can't get enough watching of him. So,
I agree.
Going up to 65, we got Vincenzo Joseph, just another in the murderer's row there for Penn State, who is also. Right, he's making a case for himself, being one of the best college wrestlers of all time, and looks like he'll be going up against Cole Walter, unless Dave, you tell me otherwise.
No, that's the way it's going to shake out, and I think in terms of just sheer athleticism, Joseph is the best athlete on Penn State's team.
He's my favorite wrestler on the team just because of his style. I love how loose he wrestles. I like that he goes up and down, top and bottom, not afraid.
No, he has no weaknesses, and he has weapons out the yin yang. I agree with you. I love watching that kid. And this will not be close. This is another one. It's going to sound like a broken record, but I wouldn't be surprised if. I don't see Walter getting pinned, but it's going to be attacked and probably sometime in the second period.
Thoughts, Jamie?
Yeah, and it's Vincenzo. I mean, aside from all the big move stuff that he's got with the upper body and that, his technique is just so crisp. You can see Sonny Abe's training in him where he's just everything is just pristine.
And Cole Walter, looks like a physical specimen, but he is just not aggressive. He's been around. He doesn't seem to have confidence, and he might be able to defend a few shots to begin with. But again, I feel like he'll be dragged into some deep cardio waters and relentless attacks. And I don't know when it'll happen, but I just feel like at some point Joseph is going to just break him mentally. I just don't feel like he's got the mental game to stay in there for a 7-minute match. And I thought he would a couple years ago. I thought Walter would turn into a better wrestler. I think the coaches thought so also. I mean, he won a couple years ago. He won the wrestle off and knocked off All-American Mitch Minotti out of the lineup for Lehigh. And it doesn't seem like he has matured the way that the brain trust at Lehigh has thought.
Well, he's had a lot of injuries. And he actually looked good against Massa from Michigan. That was a 5-3 final. And that's a big improvement because they wrestled at Grace Hall 2 years ago. Right? No, a year ago.
A year ago, last year.
Yeah, he got teched.
Yeah.
So who knows? He's strong. Pennsylvania State champ. He's got a good pedigree, but you're right. He hasn't been able to put it together. But no chance against Vincenzo.
Yeah.
Not too many people do.
Yeah. Going up to 74, we got Jordan Cutler versus Mark Hall. Cutler has lost to Hall close in the duel. I think it was a 1 or 2 point match. I think at the scuffle it might have been a 4-point match. Hall seems to have an edge on the quickness, and I think he hit Cutler with a couple of super ducks last year that really stuck out. It caught Cutler looking for the tie-up and got in there. On the other hand, Hall didn't look super crisp at the Keystone Classic. Now, I know Cutler just took a loss up at Michigan, and I'm just wondering if Hall has kind of recovered from his match in the finals versus Valencia. I think it's going to be a good match. This is I think it could be the closest match of the duel.
Well, I'll let Jamie talk about Hall.
I agree. It's going to be the closest match, but neither of them did anything in that match at Lehigh last year. It was pretty boring, like you said. I think it was a 1 takedown match, but like you said, Hall has looked very uninspired, has not looked very interested in anything. Hopefully he will turn that around, because if not, he's going to take a loss, and either that's going to motivate him or it's going to lead to an even further spiral down, which would not be a good thing. Well,
I'll just jump in here. Cutler looked terrible against Michigan. He was gimpy, so I'm not sure if he's fully recovered from his injury at Nationals last year, got a knee injury. And he wrestled another Amin from Michigan and lost, got in deep, couldn't finish. Kind of the same thing as when he wrestled Hall at the PPL Center last year. Got in deep, and Hall just kind of looked at him like, "Are you kidding me?" It's almost not fair. Penn State's team is like from 57 on, it's just a bunch of traveling all-stars. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep Lehigh from 57 on. But I'm normally high on Cutler, but man, I just don't see him beating Mark Hall. Mark Hall tends to wrestle to his competition, and he's a world champ. And I think when he's done at Penn State, he's going to be one of the all-time greats.
I think two keys for me for the match. One is for Hall to win. I think he's got to be crisp on his attacks, and if he can catch Cutler reaching for that tie-up, he's hit that. I think the duck at the PPNL Center and at the scuffle. One thing that is one of Cutler's big strengths on most people, but not Hall, is he can ride that Blair ride to a riding time point and quite often take some of the life out of somebody. Hall was able to solve that riddle pretty quickly last year and get out from underneath. So Cutler is going to need to be able to ride that wrist and get the pressure forward before Hall can do something athletic like I think last year he did 2 series of moves together and was able to get out. It's escaping me if he did a standing and then a Granby or a sit to a Granby, was able to get out of that near wrist series that Cutler, makes his bread and butter on.
Mike, I think they could wrestle 50 times and Hall would win 49. I think it's different leagues. Cutler's a really, really good wrestler, but Hall's an elite athlete, and there's a difference between elite and very good.
You could be right there. Hall a couple weeks ago may not
kind of
be
the difference between you and me.
I know. I can beat you with one hand, and I give you your senior citizen pass too. So I don't know.
Oh my God! Here we go.
All right, moving up to 184. There's not enough laughs going on here. We got Shakur Rashid versus either Ryan Price or Andrew Price.
Don't know who it's going to be. Ryan Price, I think he's banged up, so he may get held out this weekend. I think he's beaten Rashid twice already.
He has 2 wins over him.
So if he wrestles, give him a legit shot there, no question. But Rashid's looking awesome at 84. You guys saw him.
When did those 2 wrestle? What weight class?
84. Was it last year and the year before?
They wrestled at 74, and then they wrestled at 84.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, last year at the duel, Price wrestled nickel. The year before at the duel at State College, it was these two. It was Price versus Rashid, and it looked like Rashid had the upper hand. And then there was an injury time, and Price changed his tactics on his tie-up, and it stymied Rashid completely, and it gave Price a close win. It was 1 or 2 point. I don't know what it was. And you can't even look it up online anymore because the Big Ten Network, sued me. But the question is at this point: 1, is Price banged up? 2, Rashid looks like a different animal as far as his aggressiveness goes right now. He looks just relentless, and he's filled into that weight. So 2 years ago, when he lost to Price, he was bouncing up, I think, from was it 65 or 74 a couple weeks earlier, I think, versus Ryder, up to face Price. So it's one of those things where I think Rashid's a different guy. If Price is not 100%, you got to be leaning towards Shaq on that one, unless Price can slow it down. And if it's Andrew Price, I don't see this thing getting very far.
No, that wouldn't get out of the first period. If it's Ryan Price,
Andrew Price,
I actually like him over Rashid.
Oh, so okay, you're taking Ryan Price over Rashid.
Yeah, I am.
Jamie?
I think Rashid beats either. Price does not look real good. He took a loss. Did he wrestle Michigan?
No, he didn't.
I know he took a loss this year.
It was his backup.
But he's taken a loss this year. I'm trying to think who it was to. He had
Journeyman. Up at Journeyman, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost to Nick Reenan from NC State.
Yeah, and Renan had a great freestyle season, and I mean he's solid and he's legit and all, but he hasn't had. That's his biggest folk style win, and
Yep.
I don't know if Price has really grown into 84. I know he was still kind of small last year and was probably capable of wrestling 74 if he had his decision. So it'll be interesting, but I still think Rashid's going to win either way.
All right, Jamie. I've got money with Mike on the golf getting past the minute 20. I got money with you on this. I say Ryan Price beats Shaq, and
You just said they're going to run the table.
well, I'm changing my mind. I'm allowed to do that.
That's the senior citizen thing kicking in there. You can't remember your last statement.
I think so. Hey, but he used to have a fro just almost as big as Shaq's, maybe even bigger, and he cut that.
That's true. The Milton boys are crazy.
Yeah, it's going to help him make weight.
I'm not social media savvy, but his portrait next to Frederick Douglass was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. How similar with that dude. He had it real similar. Oh my God, that was funny. Kid's got a funny sense of humor. All right,
Actually,
guys.
all kidding. I think he's a really good wrestler. I think he's going to be an All-American. So we'll see on Sunday.
Well, this is his senior year. I think he needs that confidence. He looks every bit the weight class this year, Price. Last year,
he's a big boy.
Yeah. So I just want these guys. I want all the best guys to be healthy. That's what I want, and I want them to all be ready for March. Going up to 97. I don't know if you have any inside information, Dave, but right now I think it's going to be Johansson, but you can tell me otherwise.
Ingemar Johansson.
Ingemar.
He knocked out Floyd Patterson, but that's way before your time. No, it's Jacobson, not Johansson.
What am I saying? Jake Jacobson.
Have another drink.
That's what I needed. It's the scotch getting to me. Oh man. Versus Bo Nickel. So
yeah.
Look, Nickel's.
It don't matter who goes out there against Nickel, he's winning.
I will just say that I thought Nickel looked more explosive at 97 than he did last year at 84. I think there's something about his hips, the weight, whatever it is.
You're looking at these hips. The only hips I'd look at are the women in the crowd. I'm not looking at guys' hips.
Well, wrestlers know where to look, and that's where you gotta look, man. If you want to look at Nickel's ears. They're the worst ears in all of college. They stick out like an alien.
He did make the top 10 all cauliflower ear list that went around on Twitter last night.
Oh man, he deserves it.
He deserves it. Well, I'll tell you the other thing that Coach Sanderson told me at the Classic is he's dyed his hair blue because he was going gray. So whether that's true or not, I got it on good word. It was Coach Kale told me that's why he did it, and so I mean maybe it's like a Russian. I know the Nickels are from Texas, but the Russians are a little crafty with their age. Maybe Nickel's in his 30s.
Here's a trivia question for you guys. Before Nickel, who was the best wrestler in college that was from the state of Texas? It's a gimme. You guys should jump all over this.
What, Brandon Slay?
You got
to be Brandon Slay.
Brandon Slay. Very good.
Yep, Brandon Slay. So I got Nickel big time, but I just want to say this: another Penn State senior that you got to go out of your way to watch this guy. He's so electric from so many positions, and like most of these guys, it looks like at this point they're so confident they'll get into any position, they don't care, and with a little dynamic motion, they try to make something up that they've either done in practice or just make sense in their strength or their wheelhouse of moves or body movement, and they can make anything happen. I watched the Wiso match, the finals, and it was just Nickel exploded out of legs like I don't think I've ever seen anybody do before. It was beautiful.
Yeah, he's something, and this is going to be a fall. It's not a question of if; it's just a question of when it happens. And you're right. he's out there. He's playing around and he's having fun, and he's a generational talent. You're not going to see one like him come along anytime soon. Although he kind of reminds me of Quentin Wright, but Penn State just seems to have they reload. But this kid's unusual, and Jacobson's actually pretty tough. He's a legit 97-pounder. He's coming into his own, but he's out of his league in this match.
And is Weiler hurt? Is that why he's not in the picture?
Yeah, a little bit hurt, but I'm hearing that Jacobson beat him out. And Weiler's actually more of an 84-pounder, so when Price graduates, Weiler's going to be Lehigh's guy there. But Lehigh actually has 3 pretty good 97-pounders, but they could put all 3 out on the mat at the same time, and they're not going to beat Bo Nickel.
Yeah, well, I saw
Gentile third.
Gentili.
Yeah, Gentili.
He's a third.
Yep.
Yep.
And so Weiler at the Princeton Open just didn't look like he had been wrestling long, maybe. I don't know. His cardio was not anywhere near 7 minutes. Didn't look crisp.
Well, it's the same thing as last year. He started slow and came on. So maybe he'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
He's got talent.
He does.
Yeah, I saw him all through high school when he wrestled at SEM and everything, and I think the rumor when he got to college was he was a little uninterested or not as committed or bought in, or I think he seemed to be, his motivation seemed to have dropped a little bit, and if the cardio would be a sign of that as well.
Yeah, you could be right, Jamie. But we'll see. At least for Sunday, it's going to be Jacobson against Nickel and new contest. Yeah,
I agree. Going up to 285, we got the big boys. Penn State, I'm assuming it's going to be Kassar, but you never know with Bucknell the night before, that weight. Kassar looked pretty dominant in the semifinal at the Classic, but I would imagine that Sanderson is going to try and keep both guys in the lineup through at least the scuffle, and they're going to be going up against Jordan Wood, who's no slouch.
No, I like Lehigh in this match against Kassar, although Kassar has gotten huge. I don't know if he stumbled into Penn State's medicine chest. Same one as a couple of the other guys. But anyway, I like Jordan Wood. I think he takes Kassar.
I think Kassar moves way too good for Wood. I think Wood he seems to have slowed down. I felt like he was a little more mobile back as a high school at 220 and or 285 in that. But I think Kassar, the way he moved and the way he powered through Neville and practically had both feet off the ground when he was blast doubling him, I don't think Wood's got a chance.
I'm just going to say
a lot of smack talk coming there, Jamie. A lot of smack talk.
I think that the thing that Wood has that Neville's does not have is he has a lower center of gravity, and I think his hips are a little heavier. And I think he'll be able to defend some of the lower attacks. It's the Gable Stevenson hip level attacks that I think that Wood has a little bit of trouble with. Gable Stevenson kind of really doesn't attack Wood low, at least to open him up. And Kassar does have some high doubles that he uncorked. So it'll be an interesting match. One, it's going to be a great measuring stick for Penn State with how good Kassar is. Two, talking to Wood, I've talked to both these guys. He felt like he was rededicating himself after last year's Nationals, and he looked a lot more aggressive at Brown and White. Told me what he wanted from himself this year. I know that some guys from Lehigh thought he should have been maybe a little more muscular over the offseason. I don't know, but one, I think it should be a fairly competitive match, unlike Jamie. And two, I think it'll be an active match. These are not, your 3-2 heavyweights right now. At least I hope not. And I would love to see both these guys get some attacks. and I wouldn't be surprised to see Kassar initiate some attacks. I think Wood might be a better scrambler than Neville's. But Kassar showed himself at the Classic to be a pretty good scrambler off some attacks. So I'm looking forward to it. Both these guys, well, Kassar looking to get an extra year for medical reasons. Wood, is this his sophomore year, Dave?
Yeah, he's a redshirt sophomore.
Yep.
He's actually a very, very talented technical heavyweight. He's about 250, so he's not going to give up anything in the size department to Kassar. He's a better wrestler than Kassar. I am going to disagree with you on this one, Jamie. I've got this one circled for Lehigh, and it's going to be a regular decision, but probably 6'3", 6'4". Yes, I think you guys are getting carried away with Kassar. He's familiar with Nick Neville's, and that's a wrestling room matchup. I just don't see it translating against Jordan Wood.
Hey, Jamie, how many times have you heard somebody change their mind so much in less than 40 minutes? Like, seriously.
Well, let's pull out the transitive properties and what has Wood done against Goodhart in the past?
That's it, right? What has he done?
I don't know that he's wrestled Goodhart.
Because Kassar beat Goodhart pretty easily. I'm just curious. You follow Drexel a lot, Mike. Is there any transitive properties we can apply from Kassar to Wood?
Well, Goodhart was not in the lineup. He redshirted last year. So I don't think they faced each other at the scuffle, but I'm not 100% positive. No. Did Lehigh? No. Penn State, Kassar was not in the... Kassar was at 97, so they did not see each other, right? So...
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, we know what Kassar did to Goodhart. Yeah. I was just curious what the Goodhart matches may have been with Wood if they had wrestled.
Oh, so... Yeah,
did
so
they piss test after the Keystone Open?
Say it again, Dave?
Did they piss test after the Keystone Open? Because Kassar might not be eligible.
Oh man, I will tell you,
just saying.
For as ripped as he is, there's a few telltale things, and I don't see them on him. One is the jawline.
Okay.
One is
all right, Lance Armstrong.
I'm just saying the jawline and the spinal column are usually giveaways for a weird definition for guys who are hot. I didn't see it on Kassar, but you know.
And Kassar actually said in that interview about getting his 6th year, he wants to gain another 10 or 15 pounds this summer.
That's right.
Oh my God, he's on the David Taylor regimen also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Penn State bulk job.
Yeah. All right, so I think that we all think Penn State's going to win this, and they're going to go, for their 70th win here in the series. The interesting thing is this is the least amount of Pennsylvania on Pennsylvania wrestlers in the last few years for both these schools. Lehigh's filled with it, but Penn State with Minnesota and Texas and Arizona, it gives it Indiana, less of an in-state rivalry feel and more of just a big-time match.
No, it's the traveling all-star team versus the regular collegians. That's what it is. I don't like Penn State.